Hello, everyone. I'm recording this on a Monday, which, if you're seeing the date, you probably already know. But yeah, it's a rarity for me to do this on the actual Monday. Wow. So hi, welcome to the show, to the Every Which Way podcast, hosted by me. My name's Dana. For those of you just turning in now. And it's a gorgeous Monday afternoon. I took off of work today. Like, I didn't call off. It's a vacation day, so I'm still getting paid for it. Woo woo. But to take my mom to the eye doctors, and yeah, we went to get lunch afterwards, and it's just been a really good day. It's not too cold. The sun is out. I've got some candles lit. I've got some water. So I'm doing well. How are you guys doing? Did you guys have a wonderful weekend? I sure hope so. Did you take care of yourself at all? I hope you did that. What are you drinking? Do you have anything exciting to share? Because that'd be great. I would love to know. So, what am I talking about today? Well, my dear friends, my wonderful witchy wonders. I was going to say women, but it's like, women aren't the only ones who listen to this, so I don't want to, ostracize a portion of my audience. So, wonderfully witchy wonders. That's boom. There you go. Well, today I'm talking to you about spellcraft. Yeah, we're talking about spells, how to make a spell, and all of that good jazz. So yeah, I don't have any history for you because I wanted to focus primarily on the actual thing itself, and I didn't think that you guys would mind that so far. So let's hop right into it. So, spellcraft. Witchpowerment.com defines spellcraft as a magical practice that is comprised of intentions and actions performed in order to bring about a desired outcome. Yeah, seems pretty straightforward and simple, right? So, a spell in and of itself is the intent to enact change through the use of energy. Okay, also pretty simple and straightforward, I think. It can vary from dance, chanting, singing, and crystal grids to herbs or other physical ingredients and elaborate rituals. The key to a spell, the key component, is the energy being raised. In and of itself, spell crafting and spell work is not religious or owned by any particular practice. Now, that's not to say that you can't incorporate religion or a deity or anything like that into it. You very much can. It's just in and of itself, by itself, it is not religious. It is secular. So, in a nutshell, spells work by simply transferring energy into a physical object or a working. Once energy is raised, you can direct it with your intention and push it out into the universe. And here's the thing about spell workings and energy. It's that science actually plays a part in it, because there have been studies of energy and energy medicine out there, but also in reference to spell work. Now, you might be wondering how. How does science pertain to spells and spellcraft? Well, two, I guess, branches that it does are Newton's laws of motion and the laws of thermodynamics. Now, I'm going to explain this in very simple terms because I don't have any sort of degree in any science field, and I don't want to just list off stuff and not have it, not be able to kind of tell you exactly what it means. Okay, so I'm not going to go in depth because I don't want to confuse you. I don't want to confuse myself. So what I'm about to say is the very simplistic definitions or descriptions of these laws. So the first one is energy isn't created or destroyed, but it merely changes form, which I think, one of those, for me, it's one of those things that is known. I know that it's not, because not everyone knows that, but it for me, that's one of the things that makes sense, if that makes, sense. Energy doesn't die. I don't want to, part of me doesn't want to say it can't be created, because I feel like when you rub your hands together, I don't know if you guys can hear that, you're creating energy, but maybe that's just like transferring it really from your body and the air around you. So, yeah. Anyway, number 2. A system naturally moves from order to disorder. This kind of works whenever you're releasing the energy that you raised for your spell, you release it out into the universe, right? Well, the universe, because your spell work and and the energy that you raised was ordered, so it was kind of planned. It was in a solid state, not like a solid physical state, but it had a solid structure, is what I'm trying to say. When it's released out into the universe does whatever it wants to it. It sees your outline or your syllabus, and it's just like, this is a nice outline or syllabus. I'm just going to rip it up and do whatever I want in order for what you desire to manifest. I hope that makes sense. It made sense to me when I was reading it and when I was writing it, so I hope that came off well. Number 3, an object in motion will remain in motion unless something acts upon it. So again, going back to spellcrafting, unless your spell is fulfilled or your desired intention or outcome is done, it's going to continue on its course until something stops it. And that stopping doesn't have to be like someone is interfering with it. It could just be that it's reached its completion, or it's reached its completion, which I just said, or you're not taking the mundane steps to kind of help manifest what you want. And number 4, for every action, there's an equal yet opposite reaction. Okay? So that makes, for me, for a spell, how I interpreted this is, my goodness. So spells always cost something. Maybe they cost energy from you personally. Maybe the cost is the incense you're burning or the ingredients that you're using. But there's always a give and take, all right? You can't just be like, hey, universe, I want this thing, so you should just give it to me without me giving you anything back or doing anything in exchange, because that's not how it works. There's always a fair exchange of something in order for spells to work. All right? So, moving on from the scientific stuff, spells can be cast for really any reason. They're for changing things in your life. Now, that does indeed include jinxes, hexes, and curses, but I'm not going to talk about those things specifically because I have speak, Dana, you're Gemini's thon. Come on. Sorry. I have an episode dedicated to jinxes, hexes, and curses, if that makes sense. I hope it does. I really do. So, the components of a spell are really very simple. They're not too extravagant or anything. Not saying that you can't have an extravagant spell or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying, because spells are deeply personal, of course. But really, the main things that are needed are your intention or desire, any composition or ingredients that you want to use, preparation of a sacred space or a shift in your consciousness, raising, directing, and releasing of energy, and then finally creating channels and manifestations. Just to reiterate once again, religion and deities are not necessary for a spell or to craft a spell, but if you want to incorporate them, you are more than welcome to, of course. Now, let's kind of get into the basics of spellcrafting. And let's start with the most important thing, which would be intention. So, when doing a spell, you want to make sure that your intention is very clear, focused, and specific. You don't want to just be like, universe, I want that. That doesn't tell the universe anything. It just says that you want something, but that doesn't tell the universe what you want. Okay? So no wants, no wishes, hopes, or vague desires. And you want to use as few words as possible. Now, what that means is that you don't want to write a whole paragraph. Just like a few sentences, and they don't have to be short sentences. The sentences can be long in and of themselves, but you kind of want to keep it straight to the point and focused. But also leaving it open to receive something better than what you're wishing for. It's very important to be positive and use positive vocabulary and wording while writing down your intention or while speaking it into existence and stuff like that. You kind of want to set a time frame as well. And by time frame, I mean like, say, a couple months, a year, a week, what have you. And make sure that you're being personal. Use I or me, or even if you're doing it on behalf of another person with their consent, use the person's full name and be reasonable. So an example that I found on one of the sites that I use for research is this. I own a new 2021 gray Mazda 3 Touring with a sunroof and rear view camera or better, in my price range of $15,000 within the next year. So something like that, okay? It's not a huge paragraph or a huge page. It's one sentence specifying what kind of vehicle, what amenities, what accoutrements, whatever, that it wants, the price range, and a time frame as well. All right? Moving on, we come to second of the basics, which is going to be your ingredients and the composition of the spell itself. So when crafting a spell, you're going to want to use ingredients that go best with what working you want and that work with the energy of the spell. Okay, so if, for example, you want to work a spell that helps you with your anxiety, you're going to want stuff like maybe clear quartz or lavender to relax and calm you, stuff like that. You don't want to work with cinnamon that is really very potent and strong and fiery and has power behind it, if that makes sense. So after you have the ingredients that you want to use, you're going to want to determine the best time for casting your spell. Now, some people, including myself up until this point, don't really go by days of the week, the hour of the day, stuff like that. And to an extent, I don't think that matters as much. Like, say you're on the road and you don't have any of your supplies around you or any of your books, and you're just in some sort of bind and you need some sort of protection around you, you could do a small protection spell with just yourself. Because all you really need to do a spell work really is yourself. So for me personally, like, while I do think that the season, the lunar cycle, the time of day, the day of the week, stuff like that does have weight and merit and energy in and of itself, I think that if you're in a tight spot or something like that and you just need something really basic to just get you through, I don't think it's going to anger the universe or tip the odds against your favor, if that makes sense. Now, I've been trying to get better with this because in the past I would just do it willy-nilly whenever I would do spell work, and I don't do spell work all that often. Personally, at least I haven't in the past. I've probably done more of it the past few, 2 or 3 years than I've ever done it in my life. But I would do small little energy things when I'm out and about on the road in my youth, because I'm so old. But I hope that makes sense. And I don't want to come off as flippant or dismissive if you're someone who sticks to time of day, day of the week, lunar cycle, season, all that jazz. I'm not trying to disvalue that or anything like that. I'm just saying that small things, maybe the universe is not going to be overly offended. Okay? And of course, again, to reiterate for the probably 1,000th time, spell work is very personal. So in the end, whatever your intuition is telling you or how it's guiding you, you want to go with that than anything anyone else says, including myself. So going back to the notes, this is also when you want to determine if you're going to write your spell, sing it, chant it, however you want to get your intention to go through to the universe. Also, how you'll raise the energy for it, and then what to do with the remains of your spell. So I know for a lot of people, when they use physical ingredients, they will bury it or maybe even cast it off into a body of water. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to yawn. Or even, in my case, just flush it down the toilet. Get rid of the shit. I will say, if you're going to bury it or throw it in water that is not in the house, if it's outside, say a stream or a brook or something like that, please be conscientious of what you're throwing away. So I know that salt will kill pretty much anything and will not allow any sort of plant life to grow back wherever it's in large quantities. Hence the phrase salt the earth. That pretty much means that nothing is going to grow wherever that salt is put. Also, you don't want to use things that could be harmful to the environment as well. Just be mindful. Okay. Now, moving on, we come to the shift of consciousness phase. And I've kind of split the shift of consciousness and the prepping of the sacred space into two, because I do think that they're kind of two different aspects, and depending on what you're doing for your spell and what your intention and your intuition is telling you, you may want to do both of these things, only one of these things, or whatever. But the shift in consciousness is very straightforward and simple. It's pretty much you go from the mundane to the magical. All right, so maybe you do this via meditation or dancing or drumming or singing or anything else. But it's very important to keep positive thoughts leading up to the actual spell casting. And of course, once you're in that mindset, you're going to want to move on to the following: prepping the sacred space. Yeah. So this is the time where you want to choose where you want to do your spell work, and preferably in a place that you're not going to be interrupted. Now, this can be inside or outside, whatever you prefer, whatever floats your boat, no judging. You're going to want to cleanse your space as you normally would. So if you prefer smoke cleansing, go for it. If you prefer sound cleansing, absolutely. Water cleansing, for sure. Crystals, go for it, my babe. All right? This is where you want to, again, prep that space. So if you want to cast a circle, you can. It's not necessary. But make sure that you have some sort of protection up while you're doing it. You don't want any little nasties coming in and disrupting you while you're doing your working. It's important to remain focused and relatively calm and clear-headed. That way, so none of your positive thoughts aren't disrupted by not positive thoughts. During the prepping of the sacred space, this is also where you want to invite in your deities, any spirit guides or ancestors, and also do a little meditation, if that's what you want. I also have here that, for me anyway, this is a time where I give offering to my deities, spirit guides, ancestors, spirit in general, whatever. That is when I do this. Okay? But again, do whatever feels right and comfortable to you. All right? Following that, you're going to want to raise, direct, and release the energy. And this raising the energy can be done by chanting, singing, dancing, visualizing, mixing your ingredients, or however you raise energy. Okay? Once you have the energy raised, you're going to want to release it. Well, sorry, not release it, but kind of direct it. So if you're doing a candle spell, once you have the energy raised, you kind of want to put all of that focus and intention into your candle. Likewise, if you're burning herbs, you're going to want to focus on the herbs and burn them. And of course, you can finally release that energy into the wind, burning, again, using a wand to point it in your chosen direction, crying also. You can push it out through your hands into the sky, or however else you prefer to release your energy. And finally, you want to channel and manifestation. You want to channel and manifest. This is the most mundane part. Literally. It's this portion, which is the final portion, is doing the everyday minutia to achieve your goal. So if you want a better job or want to change your job, this is where you're going to put in your application. If you want that car, this is where you go look around, see what you like, what's in your price range. All right. Doing this helps to open the channels for the universe to manifest your intention. So that's kind of why you want to do these mundane tasks after your spell in and of itself is. And again, this is kind of a portion of that give and take. You, of course, want to take the steps to ensure that you have the best possible chance to receive what you are trying to manifest, and the universe will take your energy and kind of do its thing. But you definitely want to do the mundane, ordinary tasks. You don't want to just sit there and wait for it to fall into your lap, because realistically, it's not going to. You have to take those steps. All right, now let's focus a little bit on the ingredients. If you are using ingredients, say like herbs or crystals, you're going to want to use the ones that their energies enhance your spell's potency. So this is where correspondences come in. These are based off of the historical, medical, and culinary uses of a herb, a crystal, a tool, what have you, but also takes into account the colors, its nature, and shape. You can write your own correspondences for a tool or object by looking at its practical, historical, and scientific uses, but also by using your intention. So not your intention, but your intuition. So again, I said this a while back, I think in the lavender episode, but take an herb, whatever herb you feel drawn to for whatever spell you're doing, okay? Hold that into your hand and let it tell you what its purpose for the spell is, okay? Does that make sense? I hope that does. Same with a crystal, same with a tool or anything like that. Because everything has energy. Everything has its own frequency and vibration. If you just open yourself up and are willing to listen, these tools, these ingredients will help you. You just have to let yourself listen. And the final one that I have for this is consulting with the spirit of the object. So if a object, again, that goes back to the energy, but also if there's a spirit attachment as well. Now, these methods can either be used by themselves or in a combination. It's whatever you choose. Let's see here. Okay, so continuing with the ingredients, if there are certain things for a spell that are hard to come by, whether because of region, cost, allergies, or any other reason, you can always use substitutions. And I have some general substitutions here. So, for candles, if you don't have a certain candle color, you can use a white candle in substitution for any candle color that you may need. Rosemary can substitute in for any herb, table salt for any salt, clear quartz for any crystal. I can pronounce my hours so good. Well, crystal. Clear quartz for any crystal. There we go. Nailed it. Took me a minute, but I got there. It worked out for me. You can use apple in substitute for any fruit, tap water for any water, rose for any flower, and olive oil for any carrier oil. All right? So once a spell is done, it's done. Okay, that's how it differentiates from a ritual. Rituals are something that you repeat, whereas a spell, again, kind of going back to that example for that Gray Mazda 3 touring, you only perform that once. Okay? Rhyming, incantations, fancy tools, or waiting for a certain time is not necessary. These are things that you can add on and use if you so desire. Now again, if you're someone that likes to do the day of the week, the time frame, all that good jazz, totally okay. But I don't think there's any harm in not doing those things. A few last... Oh no! Not a few last. Just a few additional words of advice, and these come from, again, me personally. Don't feel your power. Don't fear it. We are all powerful people. We are all powerful beings. We have our own strengths, our own gifts, our own power. We just need to not fear it, which I know is easier said than done, but that's something to work towards. Be creative and curious. Don't hesitate to add something or take something away. Like, if you feel like, oh goodness, if you feel like drawing a penis and writing your intention on that and then burning it and as part of your spell work or spellcrafting, go for it. No harm, no foul. And again, to reiterate, if you're working with deities, spirits, ancestors, please give them an offering during the preparation of the sacred space, or anytime, really, because if you're asking them to be present or to help you, I feel like the least that could be done is them having something to take away. Because again, it's that give and take. Drink plenty of water, ground, meditate, or have a nutritious snack afterwards. Okay? And again, that's just my advice. I like to drink plenty of water, keep myself hydrated, and have a nutritious snack. So like maybe a couple of grapes, blueberries, some cheese and meat, whatever. You know, just make sure that you take care of yourself too, because you are using your energy. Or if you're borrowing energy from the earth, you want to give that back, okay? All right, so for those of you that prefer working with like lunar cycles or the seasons, I just have a list of what each phase is good for, and I'm going to read it off real quick here. So the new moon is the best time to start a project or something, okay? So it's the new moon. It's a good time to start. The waxing moon is when to work your magic to increase or work toward your goal. Okay? Full moon is when your work is at the height of its power, and this can be done 3 days before or after the full moon date itself. So you do have a little time frame. The waxing moon is good for banishment workings or to release what no longer serves you. So that's the lunar cycles. We're going to move on to the seasons. And these kind of go hand in hand in a way. So, yeah, I do say in a way because unlike the lunar cycles, the seasons are kind of set as far as timing. So spring is a time where you want to plant seeds or start a new project. Summer is when the sun is as most powerful and as a result is best for health, strength, fulfillment, beauty, or relationship magical workings. Fall is the harvest time, and this is when you harvest what you've worked on. Also, if you want to do prosperity magic, family spell work, anything to do with careers, reconciliation, or intuition work, fall is a great time to do that. And finally, winter, which is a great time for introspection, but also meditation or prosperity work, not only for yourself, but also for others, which makes sense. Because in the wintertime, back when, before we became so technologically advanced and modern, we had to rely on the community, not just our own specific families. So, of course, you would want to have the community thrive as well. That just makes sense. All right. Now, the last 4 notes I have. It's just small little things that I wanted to include because I thought that they could be useful to you. So, maybe not useful, but just, anyway, yeah, useful. So, did you know, wait for this. Did you know, great listener, that you can record your spells in your own Book of Shadows or Grimoire? Because guess what? You can. And this is useful not just for if you're someone that wants to pass down that to a family member or to someone that you trust, but also if a spell doesn't work out quite the way that you intended, like maybe it didn't achieve what you wanted exactly, this is where you can see where maybe it went wrong or something like that, if that makes sense. Having the elements of air, fire, water, earth, and aether present can also help to strengthen a spell. They necessary? No. But having them can help. And this kind of goes hand in hand with the circle casting. Because whenever you do a circle casting, which I will talk about casting circles in another episode, I promise, they do incorporate the elements anyway. You can incorporate the directions of a compass, so north, south, east, and west, and zodiac signs or celestial bodies into your spell. So if it happens right now, we're in Pisces season, if you want to do something, goodness, don't know much about Pisces, I'm not going to lie, but I know that they're water, so maybe like something emotional or intuitive based, it wouldn't be a bad time to work with Pisces. And last but not least, what I have for you is align a spell with a Sabbath based on what it is you want to manifest or what your intention is. Okay? So, for example, let's use Samhain because it's my favorite and this is my show and I'm going to talk about whatever the fuck I want to talk about. But say that you want to manifest spirit communication. Wouldn't be a bad time to do it during Samhain. Okay? Yeah, really wouldn't be a bad time at all. Nope. So here is the point in the video where I do a little pull, and a card pull. And I'm not using an oracle deck. I'm not using a tarot deck. What I'm using is the Beautiful Soul Mindful Collection of Daily Affirmations. I just bought these yesterday at Sacred Moon Circle Apothecary. Hashtag not sponsored. Hashtag could be sponsored. Hook me up. I'm just kidding. But let's see. These are wonderful little cards. They're literally little squares, and they have wonderful designs based on the zodiac on the back of them. And one of my friends from the Full Moon Woman Circle yesterday suggested that I get them, and I did. So we're gonna do just a daily one. All right, let's see here. What do we have? All right. Wow, this is actually perfect for this episode. The daily affirmation is, I am always co-creating with the universe. So there you have it. I would like to thank you. Wolf. Okay, wow. Oh, wow. I have my window open currently. I don't know if you just heard the litany of vehicles going by, but they were pretty loud, and it's just like, oh, wow. But yeah, I want to thank you all for joining me in this episode today. If you could do me a huge favor and share this around, maybe even give a rate or a review, I would greatly appreciate it. I am on social media. I do have a Facebook page that I don't really pay much attention to, not gonna lie. But I do post on Instagram and TikTok under the username Witch of the Gathering. So find me over there, and I do post videos, usually about daily draws and stuff like that, and even cat videos, because I do have 3 wonderful little kitty cats, and I love them very much. So yeah, thank you again for joining me. Have a marvelously magical Monday, and I will see you wonderful witches in the next episode. Bye-bye now.